Channel here over at SubStars now over at Odyssey. Got a mailbox as well if you want to mail me a comic or a Christmas beanie or something. So Hollywood under Trump 2.0. It's as if these people forgot that he was in office in 2016. Things were okay. You realize that like this already all happened, right? Like we're doing this all over again. Like we're seriously going through this thing like it never happened before. Yeah, for a lot of these people, that's how deranged they are. And at some point you can look at these people and go, oh, I think there's some mental illness here that needs to be addressed, and it's just not getting addressed. A lot of this is the woke got Hollywood elected. So congratulations if you're in that camp. All the trans kids who are losing their mind over the Fuhrer, or in their minds, the Fuhrer 2.0 getting elected. Yeah, you're a lot of the reason why he did get elected. And you realize, oh, Trump actually probably won the last 3 elections, didn't he? Because, the magical 20 million votes that materialized in 2020 but weren't there in 2016, 2012, and in 2024. What happened to them? I guess they just didn't want to turn out for Kamala, or they never existed in the first place. But, I think YouTube wouldn't let you talk about that. It's weird. It's like Google bought YouTube just to have total control of the narrative and kick off anyone who was not on the plantation. So the fallout of the Trump video victory has not been pretty for Hollywood and for the left in general. And Hollywood communists in gated communities with armed guards are very concerned because people are not listening to them anymore. Why would we listen to you guys in the first place? You're actors, and at one point you were at the level of prostitutes. Now, celebrities have the ability to reach people, especially with social media. It's a double-edged bladed sword for them because they do have tremendous outreach, but the big caveat is they don't connect to the audience so much anymore. Social media has changed everything because we're really seeing, it's like when they talk about high definitions in TV, and they go, for a lot of things, high def is not needed because having effectively a soft focus filter on the camera and allowing a little motion blur smooths things over. When you really see everything crystal clear, it becomes like hyper real, and it feels more like a home video camera for some reason. It doesn't feel like cinema when things kind of flowed and were softly focused together. The thing is with social media is we're looking at these people, and it's like familiarity is breeding contempt because a lot of people have realized, celebrities are not quite as compelling as they appear under a makeup artist and hair and on screen. They seem kind of like idiots who are in an echo chamber. It's like, oh yeah, and a lot of them are even worse than that. A lot of them are truly horrible people, as Jamie Lee Curtis is up next. And it's like, didn't she have a painting on her wall of some little kid in a bathtub? It's like, oh, well, it's her little kid in a bathtub. That's fine. It's her kid. It's like, hippy-dippy generation. She's a little older. Things were different. Oh, but it's not her kid. Okay, that's kind of weird. Is there like some Maria Abramovic, Epstein, sacrifice to Moloch thing going on here with Hollywood? Maybe. So they're not handling this well, which is weird because, like I said, he wasn't. Oh yeah, I guess there's no paint in the background now. I guess you probably cover that thing up, huh? Probably put it in the bedroom for all I know. He was in office for a term at least, and things were just fine. At first, I was saying like, oh, they expected a portal to hell to open up and release demons, but then you realize, well, these are the people who worship Moloch, or at least they're more on that path. And to them, though Trump is hardly to us on the side of the angels, to them, they're so evil that Trump is sitting at the right hand of Christ himself. And he is not, of course, very, he's not pure evil like the left, but he's not, he's not that, he's hardly, you're not going to confuse him with some Christ figure. Only the left does that, where they're so used to pure evil, concentrated pure evil. What a great movie that was. That they're absolutely terrified of somebody like Trump, who's not as evil as. You understand prostitutes and urine? Yeah, he's got a germ phobia. Okay, we'll try something else then. You You guys have no relation to the truth whatsoever, do they? So they kind of seem to have forgotten that, Cthulhu didn't come out from the underworld during 2016. And for some reason, they think it's going to be The Handmaid's Tale, which is even funnier because there actually is a group, I can't mention on YouTube, that controls women to that extent. That is in their straw man fantasy version. That is, I think there's some sexual fantasies going on with left-wing women and being controlled in that way. It's something a little weird going on with them. But liberals never seem to criticize that other group of people. Only white Christians. It's open season on them who don't do all these things. But in the straw man universe of Hollywood's fictional, Handmaid's Tale, it's like, yeah, but that's Hollywood. That's fiction. You understand that, right? And honestly, there's a study done like decades ago about people who watch more TV and movies have a harder time distinguishing between reality because the memory implantation from TVs and reality get very confused, which is terrifying when you think of the consequences of that. And it's like you look around and you see this Trump derangement syndrome and you realize, yeah, they really think they're in some kind of Hollywood setting and they're the main character. The left has a mental illness issue. So anyway, in 2016, they whined and deleted their accounts on Twitter for some reason in protest, but that was before Elon Musk. I don't know why they did it, but then they always come back and they said they were going to leave the country. And of course they never did. They're always going to go to Canada, but never Mexico for some reason, which is weird because they want the borders wide open to come into our neighborhood, but not Martha's Vineyard. Remember, they were there for like 24 hours, and there's a picture of the woman waving goodbye with both hands, and it's just, it's chef's kiss. It's just peak absurdism. So all this is happening all over again. It's just as crazy as it sounds. It's like, this feels like deja vu, but like 8 years later. Bette Midler said that she was going to depart this mortal coil if you want. She has a picture of a bottle of champagne and a bottle of something much more dangerous. And champagne's for if Kamala wins, and the much more dangerous thing is if Trump wins. And then she deleted her Twitter. So of course that's all nonsense. Just because they're nonsense, they have to pay them as much attention as possible. Most people are not familiar with Bette Midler unless you saw her in the 80s movies. And for some reason, the BLT community thinks that Trump is going to hunt them down. They're going to have the Star Wars stormtroopers. They have a lot of Hollywood references because it's that inability to distinguish reality from, Star Wars. So they think that, or Hugo Boss is going to march door to door and they're going to be in an attic furiously writing probably their script in a diary because, again, they think like the cameras are always on them and they're going to be in some movie or something. It's just the most absurd thing possible. But like, again, we're dealing with a lot of mentally ill people. So they think that like Trump and his troopers are going to march them down and drag them away to camps or something to make them, I don't know, not gay or dress normally or something. It's all these, take the nose rings out. It's all these vague fears, but they never articulate when Trump indicated he was going to do that. It's like, Project 2025. Yeah, that's just a straw man operation. It's just some right wingers came up with some talking points. It has nothing to do with him. Or how they think the executive branch has any authority to do that, to do anything in their fantasy world. It's like, what exactly they cross dress. It's I think it's that community who's the the BLT community. Why exactly do they think the federal government cares about them doing that, or that they have any authority to do anything? It's mostly they just want attention, but I know some of them are going to do something stupid, and apparently there's been an increase of this group of people doing some stupid things because of some politician that's going to come and go. And obviously, I'm not on their side or anything, but it's like, why would you make a permanent decision about something that's very temporary? You'll get up a little older and you'll look back at worrying about all this stuff and people who lost friendships and arguing with family over politicians. It's, we can agree to disagree without becoming disagreeable. You get that, right? It's like, this is just a politician and blood really is thicker than water. And don't do anything stupid because the best revenge is to live as long as possible just out of spite. Like, all these people are taking these things so seriously, and I just want to look at them and go, but so what happened in 2016 to 2020? Oh, you guys were round up and put in the gulags for 4 years. Oh no, that didn't happen. So what did happen? Oh, I know things were pretty normal. He's just kind of a moderate president. Things were fine. Like groceries weren't, you know, twice the price as they are now. So we're not going to go backwards to what? Like a functioning society? How have the past 4 years been? I mean, to these ultra wealthy people, the past 4 years have been fine. It's like the rest of us are. Oh, what bills do we pay this month because of inflation? Anyway, what is the future hold for Hollywood under the Hugo Boss regime? Some people are saying that Hollywood is going to dial down the woke and make more neutral movies because they have to make money. They've had so many billions of dollars by now of loss, and yes, it's billions, because Disney alone lost almost a billion. And you start adding up all these Hollywood things, like all these movies people talk about, the Rings of Power on Amazon and all this other crap that's out there, Star Wars and the Marvel streaming stuff. Yeah, they're all losing money. So when Disney loses $900 million, Amazon's in the same boat, and Netflix and all these other Warner Brothers are all in the same boat. Where movies are so bad with, was it Batgirl was so bad, they made the movie and then they pulled it. That's bizarre, and that's just one example of all these Flash movies, whether it's DC or Marvel. How many of these movies lost a staggering amount of money? Well, just for one company alone, it was almost $1 billion. So eventually people are going, okay, they're looking at it as mentally healthy people who are projecting their mental health on other people, on other these companies that, oh, okay, well, eventually they did a little experiment with this woke stuff. They're going to have to make money. They're going to dial this down and make more politically neutral movies, because the argument is that since the right is in office, the left will see themselves as the resistance, and they'll use pop culture to reflect that delusion while they think they're the opposition party. And while they were making woke movies under Biden, the left wing was not receptive because they were in power, and the right wing doesn't want to see woke movies under Biden at all. It's like those movies were tanking. Except, they also made woke movies in Trump's first term in 2016, and they didn't do well. In Biden's terms, the movies did much worse, but they are also further left-wing, and Hollywood is just going to continue to accelerate the woke, in my opinion, because I think it's an addiction. I think it's a religion to them, and I think all the other, like Sci-Fi from ETV was talking about this in the Quartering. They had the same kind of opinion, that they think, oh, these companies have to make money. And I look at it, no, this is a religion. These people worship Moloch. They're drinking the Kool-Aid. I think if your motivation is that they're a pecuniary and they have a duty to the shareholders, and this is just some pragmatic, no, that's what I'm trying to say, is I think this is religion. I think these people are mentally ill. They're in a cult. You Trump people are in a cult. That doesn't make sense, because it was under Trump that they came out with that little treatment. We didn't take it. Oh, but Trump told you to take it. Yeah, we didn't, because we can think for ourselves. But Trump said, well, fuck him then. He's the best choice out of two very bad choices, but we're not in a cult. Most people who voted for him 3 times did not take that treatment. We're purebloods. The left wing is in the cult. Anyway, Hollywood is going to just kind of continue this. I don't think Hollywood is going to dial down anything, because in their minds, like I said, it's a religion. They view that as capitulating to Trump and his can't let the Hugo Boss army win. And hopefully they'll leave Twitter, but they never do, because they're addicted to it. They go to Mastodon and Blue Sky, and then they go from getting like 50,000 likes on a tweet to getting a few hundred. It's like there's no way they're going to stay on those servers. So Hollywood is going to be extra insufferable, and it's not going to work, because Trump just isn't going to do any of those things that inspire a resistance where they think they're raging against the machine. I mean, now this is their chance, but you really have to have some kind of brutal dictator to be the resistance against, and Trump just isn't that guy. He's really a moderate, and I look at him as like, if you look at Trump 2016 and now, 2016 he was a left of center president. If you're looking at the totality of America and what you'd consider left and right, he was left of center then, and his rough edges have been rounded off in 2024. He's going to be even more left of center. Like, he's going to be a disappointment to everyone, because he's just going to be a milquetoast president. So anyway, Hollywood is going to be, I think they're going to be absolutely insufferable. They're going to, if they have to bankrupt these companies, they don't give a shit. They're going to do it. These people are working themselves into a frenzy that they think, see, I don't even know who half these people are, that Trump is going to send people door to door to put the gays in camps or something like they wanted to do to us for being purebloods because they love democracy so much unless it doesn't go in their way. So maybe they'll make bizarro movies about, some strawman Trump dictator, basically, Austrian Corporal 2.0 kind of thing. But it's going to be a strawman fantasy because nothing like that is going to happen because you had the first 4 years to do those kind of things. Blue Beetle was some superhero movie, some movie about some cockroach and how great Mexico was while they were living in America and not Mexico for some wacky reason. So they're probably going to make a bunch of movies with that kind of theme about deportation, and everyone will be sobbing and crying. And you kind of ask, like, well, what exactly is so bad about going back to your homelands? I mean, can't you just go back there and make it great again? And, you see, it's not like we have magic dirt, is all I'm saying. So you see what that El Salvador guy did. If it was me, I'd go even further and have some factories. I mean, there was a movie that kind of covered that, but maybe I should not say that actually. So crime, you could just literally make it disappear if you wanted to. I mean, you could almost recycle it, really. So my point being that Hollywood is not going to back down because they are literally and not hyperbolically out of their fucking mind crazy. Things under Trump were fine. Things under Kamala and Biden were a nightmare of expensive incompetence. I mean, there's that image of the fall of Saigon with that big helicopter. It's like a transport helicopter. It's probably what do they call Hueys on the top roof of a diplomatic building or something. It's like 71 or whatever, 74 or something. Oh no, this other picture is from Biden's regime when there's a Huey helicopter on the roof of a building. Oh, is it? Yeah, now they're hanging off the wings of an aircraft as the military withdraws, and then the thing fell just like Vietnam, like instantly, pretty much. And expensive incompetence is a good way to round up the Kamala regime. And to be brutally honest, I almost hope for Trump's sake that he lost because things are too far gone for him to fix things without a civil war. And if Kamala won a second term, it would be great because then the left would get exactly everything they asked for. It would be unbelievably bad. But that would kind of be the only way to accelerate things to complete and total destruction would be to fix things. And then people could go like, okay, we need a separation into two large areas or go back to a hard border 50-state model like it was kind of intended with a much weaker federal system, destroy the Federal Reserve and the activist judicial system. And wait, what about that $36 trillion you guys owe? Well, honestly, if it was me, I would just... those are just, numbers on a computer. I would just set those to zero and, let the chips fall where they may. What happens after that? I would let the people who incurred that debt pay that debt. And I would just set ours to zero. But, hey, I'm not in charge. But, a couple 100 million people with Liberty devices can accomplish a whole lot. Anyway, so Kamala was just too horrible a prospect for people to cheat to put her in office and get that extra 20 million that they got last term, which is kind of weird because she was always like this. I guess if the Lizard Kings didn't kick Biden out of the race, things would have been probably much closer. Trump probably still would have won because he said Biden was just as absolute disaster, and he didn't run in 2016 because he had dementia back then. And to be fair, Hillary probably would have Epsteined him. He had to give her her chance. So, which is funny because if he ran they allowed Biden to run in 2016, and Hillary goes, "Okay, Hillary, you don't have dementia. You're still sharp. You can wait until 2020. You're going to be old, but you're not. You're still cognitively. You're fine." That probably would have been better, but Hillary was so powerful, and she said, "No, get him out of there. I want to run in 2016." It's like, okay. So what happened is they kind of screwed, Hillary kind of screwed everyone back in 2016. So they put him in 20 because they didn't have anyone else, which is freaking weird to have a bench that's that shallow. And then they gave him one of the worst vice president choices they could possibly find. I mean, was Gavin Newsom not available? I would have tried to sign him up. And she knew the possibility of her running was on the table because the guy's 78 years old when he's in office. So her weakness is public speaking. Everyone knows that because she's a sociopath who doesn't view other people as real. So if you are paired up with a guy who's 78 years old, you know that your time at bat is coming up in 4 years. That means you have a good solid 4 years to work on your public speaking. But, it's like she didn't do that. It'd be like trying to train a crocodile to be a house pet. Eventually, it's just going to revert back to genetics. So anyway, for this branch of YouTube, for us cringe-watching Hollywood, the best thing Trump could do for Hollywood to make, try to make tearjerker movies. I think they made some Civil War movie. It was just horrible because you didn't know exactly what they were. They didn't firmly take a stand and say what sides were what. But the best thing Trump could do would be to deport like 40 million people, which of course he's not going to do. But it would be awesome just to see the Hollywood response with their insane movies. Because right now, leftist women are not having sex with their husbands because something about abortion. They think the Fed is going to re-involve itself in what is clearly a states' rights issue. Probably a 10th Amendment police powers thing. Even more so a due process argument to protect babies because they're a discrete and separate entity. And not many people care about that issue. But it's a states issue. And don't they respect democracy? No, of course not. They want centralized power. We want as much decentralized power as possible. And God, these people are insufferable. The good thing about Kamala and Biden for the past 4 years was the growth of alt media, payment processors, Give, Send, Go, SubScribeStar, all these other ways for us to put our narrative out there and also spread money around to fund these narratives. And Odyssey and all these other payment processors have been phenomenal for that. And the best thing YouTube could do. So when Trump got in 2016, YouTube went through and cleaned house of all the right of center channels that helped him get elected, from Alex Jones to Red Ice to Jared Taylor, Dr. Duke, the really spicy channels. But they weren't breaking any terms of services. James Alsop and Vincent James, the Red Elephants, and Way of the World is a great channel, and a bunch of these other channels who were just taking a politically incorrect position. But they didn't violate TOS, but YouTube goes, yeah, but you helped Trump get elected. We got to get rid of you. So after he got elected, from 2016 to 2018, they wiped the slate clean of all the good channels. That's why YouTube is so boring now, because, one, you can't say anything on YouTube. So everything is just about, girls with big boobs putting on lipstick and doing unboxing, or pop culture channels talking about pop culture. But it's like, pop culture has just been stupid for the past 4 years, and it's going to continue to be stupid. I don't know how long those kind of channels can keep saying how stupid things are. So actually, the best thing for those channels is that if Trump gets in office, Hollywood is going to have a response. They're not going to back down. They're going to double down. I'm almost positive. I would be blown away if they back down. I don't see that happening because it's a religion. You will die for a religion, and Hollywood will very gladly bankrupt businesses. But if Google might go through, YouTube might go through and just kick off all the Phantom Menace Comicsgate channels, which would be for the best. The best thing could happen would be if they kicked them off all at once and everyone went to Rumble and Odyssey and Entropy and all these other live streaming platforms and use alternative payment processors and start growing the alternative media and just say, okay, the mainstream, the YouTube is for the mainstream. That's what Odyssey, Rumble, and all these other platforms are for. It's better to go all at once than get picked off one by one, but that's on YouTube. Will YouTube go through once again and clean house? It's totally possible. And no, channels like The Quartering and Nerdrotic are not on the level of Dr. Duke, who's, the world famous, most, number one bad guy to kind of normies, or Red Ice, which is kind of spicy. But that's like when you have a spectrum and you have the far right and then you cut off the far right, it's like, well, that middle right is now the new far right. And that's where like those YouTube pop culture Comicsgate Phantom Menace channels are. They're the new far right, where now it's like Mark Dice and Paul Joseph Watson. It's like, oh yeah, those are at the far right of the spectrum. It's like, but they're really not that far right. But if YouTube wants to get rid of the far right, they will, and then they'll get rid of them. They'll get rid of all the Phantom Menace channels, which is like great. It's like just give up on YouTube all at once. Just let YouTube go to the girls in the the tops with the unboxing videos, and just those are just the stupidest videos where every thumbnail is a person with their face and it's wide open, because that kind of clickbait gets people. It gets engagement, is what it is. But it's like when you've been on YouTube for a while and you look at that, it's like that's why people use, even people in Confiscate Phantom Menace, they use those titles. Like some company's been humiliated. They want you dead, but they won't write that. They'll use that in the graphics so the algorithm doesn't pick up on it. It's all these just bizarre ways to manipulate. Maybe I'll use one of those titles for this, to manipulate people to get them to click, because you got to kind of ride the YouTube horse while it's still there. Anyway, Hollywood under Trump 2.0. They think that the Fuhrer just got elected, and that he's going to invade Poland, because they're crazy. They're absolutely insane. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys all next episode.